everyone, Donovan here, and today I'll be covering Baldur's Gate 3 as a pop culture media piece. Baldur's Gate 3 is an RPG fantasy game based on the tabletop role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons. If being based on Dungeons & Dragons isn't enough to earn its place as pop culture media, then let me tell you about the release of Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 released in early access in 2020 to pretty decent receptions. While it only contained about a fraction of what the whole game would entail, reception and feedback was pretty good. While most of those who purchased the early access were mildly pleased and accepting of where the game was at, we have to remember that we live in a time where games release in early access or fully release to everyone's disappointment. Disappointment taking the form of bugs, crashes, errors, lack of content, high focus on live service, paywalls, and microtransactions. While you would assume that most people playing this game would be former Baldur's Gate gamers, and Dungeons & Dragons lovers, you would also be leaving out other groups that were wonderfully surprised by the game that they purchased. When it did, it not only blew expectations out of the water, but it sent skeptics and long-waiting fans to the moon. Upon playing the fully released game, the tutorial and beginning section were completely reworked and changed, and improved. But that wasn't the only thing. The game was reworked, reimagined, and was a much larger scale than anyone realized. Those who played the early access got to experience about 25 hours of gameplay. When the game fully released, it added a whopping 37 hours to the early access's original 25 hours. And that was only accounting for the story. That doesn't account for choices that you make and other run-throughs that you might want. If you look past the gaming portion of content for Baldur's Gate 3, you'll find that they have a large community in podcasts, YouTube, and more. In a very intelligent move, the voice actors have started live streaming their gameplay. They get together for Dungeons & Dragons sessions, which are also live streamed, and they talk about their experience making the game on podcasts. While they may not have transcended their original gaming aspect in a pop culture way, someone like, most recently, Nicki Minaj has with being a musician and superstar, but now also a playable character in Warzone, Baldur's Gate 3 has changed the gaming landscape. Gamers across genres have now seen what it looks like when a game publisher takes their time, prioritizes story, gameplay, and contains no microtransactions whatsoever. Many gamers from other genres found themselves pleasantly surprised to dedicate hour after hours to a wonderfully sculpted world, which was made with the specific intention of allowing players to experience and mold the story as they please. Every choice you make in Baldur's Gate 3 has a consequence and an action that you'll find later on down the road. These actions ripple so far out that you'll even find that some of your character creation choices will cross the finish line with you. Baldur's Gate 3 has been experienced and loved worldwide, and rightfully so. Its impact on the gaming world has been felt worldwide and still has consequences today. As stated earlier, Larian Studios decided to take their time, focus on the gameplay, not have microtransactions. In today's landscape, gamers have become tired of the excuses and greed that AAA gaming studios have made chronic. Games have become microtransaction farms, live service, and focused on gamers' wallets and not the games themselves. As more and more positive reception came in, more and more game developers seemed to take to social media to talk about it. Their comment sections were filled with exhausted fans who found themselves relieved to have a playable, functioning game and didn't spend every second and every day trying to take money out of their wallet. Most importantly, players were happy to have a game that allowed them almost limitless hours of fun and experiences and choices. All that being said, Baldur's Gate 3 is a pop culture media piece that will have lasting effects on the gaming industry and pop culture for a long time to come. I won't be surprised if this game has lasting effects on all types of media across the board. I know for a fact this game has positively affected the gaming industry. If it wasn't obvious by the things that I've written, I really enjoyed this game. I was someone who purchased it as early access and streamed it, as you can see in the background here. I just wanted to give my final stamp on it and recommend it to you all. And thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like, comment, and share below. And if you didn't, thank you for sticking around this far, and I hope future videos to come might surprise you and keep you around. Thank you.